And yes, we got 4 platforms going on. We got two Facebooks and 2 YouTubes. Okay, guys, meeting is being live streamed and we are recording. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for showing up to this Tuesday's Coherence Meditation. For everybody in YouTube land and Facebook land, we do hold these events every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We welcome you to join our live Zoom call. And that Zoom link can always be found at freedomsnap.org/Seth. We also have our primary YouTube channel being the Cosmic Gaia Community Channel. So if you go to youtube.com/the Cosmic Gaia Community, we also have all of our recordings for our weekly Coherence meditations located there. The one little caveat is you need to click on the live event tab, the live tab on the YouTube channel. So, and everybody in YouTube and Facebook land, if you are over there, if you would be so kind as to subscribe and like, we're trying to reach that 100th monkey. We've been doing this couple months every Tuesday. So we're trying to reach that 100th monkey and we are hopefully almost there. So as far as today's topic, we thought we were going to start about an hour ago, but things got in the way, unfortunately, and Laura wasn't able to join us. Seth is going to follow up with her to see when she is able to join us for next time. So the email that was kind of sent out a little bit late today, unfortunately, you can kind of disregard that part. So anyways, without further ado, we have Seth here joining us. And I didn't discuss any topic with you, what we were going to get into. So I'll leave that up to you and Louie then, I guess.
Sounds good, Greg. Thank you, as always, all the help getting the tech set up so we can reach as many as possible. And yeah, we're going to do, Louie and I were talking about it. You know, it's like we're in this time where it seems like we have an opportunity to change everything. I mean, if there ever could be a time, like it's now. Now, could that not happen and we get destroyed? Of course, anything could happen. But however we live our life, right, whatever kind of habits and ideals or ideas and whatever it is we love, we have the ability to, quote unquote, crystallize that, meaning you become so present with everything that you already are that a greater charge of frequency starts to be able to move through and around your being. And if enough of us start doing that together, we break our addiction, our habits to feeling lost, disempowered, all the different things that we all struggle with. And, you know, the addiction, you could say, pretty much we've grown up in a society where we are taught it's all about the self. You know, me this, me that, and I want that product and I need that and all that. And that's fine because that's what we came into and it is what it is. But now everybody's beginning, or enough are beginning to realize that we are so much greater than that. The laws of nature are so much greater than that. Why would we stay in a place where we're cut off from the very energy that allows us to exist? It just doesn't make sense. So Louie and I were talking about it, and you know, the main addictions here are, well, you'd say we're addicted to who we think we are. You know, the social engineering, the conditioning, all these belief systems that we form as a result of, you know, being these beautiful young children growing up and viewing the world, but then fed all this stuff so that we begin to identify with limitations, whether self or societally imposed. And those limitations are, you could say it's a lack of emotional intelligence. And we all do it. Like I've done it a lot in my life. So the thing about it is when you begin to really understand your emotions, your feelings, the drama, the pain, the trauma, all of that, then you can get to a point where you're able to grow out of the toxicity of your own patterns and routines that we all have, and that could be keeping us held back from what we have the potential to be while we're here. And Louis, I would love it if you say, because I love the words you use. He kind of created words that describe it. So you want to share that?
I think it was, it may have been you that did the word play on the word namaste. And I think you started with trauma or drama stay. And then whichever one you didn't say, I added that. So, you know, operating in the world, conscious of the distinction between the namaste, which is one of the translations is who I really am, or the divine in me sees and recognizes the divine in you. But there's more than the divine in us. There's also the drama and the trauma stay. The stuff we picked up as kids, this, you know, the stuff, you know, you're throwing it out there that we can crystallize certain things consciously. Well, we've unconsciously crystallized a bunch of things as well that need to be uncrystallized. The biggest challenge that I see out there in the world right now is that if someone's not starting within themselves, much less what you have to start within yourself, then you can start bringing it to other people. If we're not distinguishing the namaste, which is the truth and who we really are, and the drama and the trauma stay, which is not who we are, but it's just something that we picked up along the way, most people have collapsed the two. And so they're living as if they are their dysfunctions, they are their addictions, they are their this and that. And not only do they believe that within themselves, but to the degree that they do, they're doing that to other people as well. And you and I both had experiences this past weekend where people in our lives, we had some, what I would call, being from New York, we had some ill interactions with them. And I found myself forgetting the drama, forgetting to distinguish that with this individual, and hook, line, and sinker, I went right in. I tried to bring the conversation to the phone because I knew that texting is insufficient to describe matters of the heart and deep philosophical and spiritual principles, because so much is lost. You can't see the body language, you can't hear the inflections in the voice. So it's very wise to keep texting short and sweet and simple. And if it's going to, you know, I wonder how many relationships have ended because of a misunderstanding in texting, because somebody just like read the wrong thing. But like the purpose of, you know, if somebody wants to heal, starting with themselves, you have to be able to distinguish the namaste from the trauma state, because then you're not going to want to address something that you think is you. Like it's easier to address it if you know that's not me. Then you could look at it and start picking at it and poking at it. And same thing with someone else. If very few people are having the experience of somebody seeing them for who they really are, much less distinguishing that from who they're not. Most people are getting crucified and ostracized and judged and criticized and condemned for their dysfunctional behavior, or for their addiction, or for their this or that. What chances do they have of healing when the world is looking at them that way? To me, the greatest gift that we can give another human being is the actual, to make namaste a verb. And like, I'm going to namaste everybody I see. And that goes hand in hand with the coherence. Like, the practicing coherence allows us to remember that and to bring that to our interaction. So once I became conscious again, through the help of Seth and us, just realizing these individuals, and I'm sure they feel the same about us, they're off the hook. Now they're still responsible for their behavior, and if they're not working on it, it still may disqualify them for a position or being in a relationship or a job opportunity, or, you know, collaborating. But at least it's not because we're, you know, sticking up the middle finger and you dysfunctional, you know, worthless, whatever. No, it's because they're not working on it. And so it's nothing personal. And so that the coherence, practicing the coherence within ourselves allows us to create this vibration, which is very congruent with the namaste. And then we can start aligning our thoughts and doing consciously and creating consciously what we've probably been doing all along, unconsciously, unwittingly, irresponsibly, just because we didn't know the nature of reality and creation. So does that answer your question?
It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, we all have our own stuff that we're processing, but then as a species, it's a pretty big collective learning experience that we're facing right now. And if somebody's addicted to their drama, trauma, issues, whatever, then when things happen in the world that are really impactful, we can go off the hook, like you were saying, and you can just lose your sense of awareness. And so we know that in order to face whatever it is we're facing as a species, because this time the whole world, it's happening to the entire planet at the same time. And whether somebody realizes it or not, we are all coming almost into this like quantum realm where there's endless possibilities, infinite, just as far and as deep as you want to go. Like it's right there. We're right in it. And that calls into question a lot of everything we've been taught to believe about ourselves. This conditioning, the beautiful childhood we have, and then being subjected to TV, radio waves, radio, all the different things that have had an impact on us. It keeps us really like in the shallows. And the emotional intelligence that we have is more like emotional immaturity. And even, as people evolve in quote unquote age, depending on what calendar you want to reference and how old everything is or isn't, that is, we have the ability to be so mature in the sense that we can begin to attune all of our lack of emotional intelligence, conflicting with emotional immaturity. We have the immediate possibility to begin bringing a much deeper, more empowered sense of how we respond and react to everything in our lives and in this world. And the more relaxed you get, even if you're like being totally active, you could be racing down the road on a motorbike or a bicycle, or you could be jogging, or we have the ability to there's a part of us. It's like the nervous system. It's everything that's already there. It's empowering and allowing everything in our bodies to function. And we have the ability to let that be what guides us through the world. And whether we're talking to somebody or have the ability to be in that relaxed state of alertness. And the more we do that, it just deflects. People are going to push their projections or their issues or whatever. We get into a state of being that deflects it, a lot like a magnetic pole, right? Or like a magnetic field. If you set it up, it creates its own energy that's coming out of it. And things that are not in harmony with it or out of alignment with it, that magnet will either neutralize those frequencies, or those frequencies will just not go to us anymore, to our body. We have that. This energy that we all are is everything. It's in us, it's around us, and the nervous system, everything in our body is set up and functioning through highly intelligent, innate intelligence. And the more we take our intelligence and start to entrain it with that intelligence, we just prefer being calm. When people have issues, or we're just being who we are, what we are. And if somebody's projecting stuff, it deflects just like a magnetic field deflects a lot of different frequencies coming at it.
Well, the application of what we're talking about, the big takeaway that I got from our conversation this weekend was right now on the planet, people's trauma state, their crap is coming up more than ever before, probably, at least in this time around. And it takes tremendous, like, we need to be on guard, but not on guard defensively, more on guard bringing the namaste. It's never been more needed right now, because all people's crap are coming up, and then we're interacting with them, and I'm noticing having more and more like funky interactions with people that are requiring me to do what we're talking about here. And as soon as I remembered that, my space shifted from blaming and making this guy wrong to total compassion and acceptance. And that's a vibrational shift, like in my field. And I would rather, before I even open my mouth and say something intelligent or something transformative, we got to bring this, we all have an auric field around us. And when we interact with someone either physically close or through a Zoom, through entanglement, we're having an aura G right now. Like, we're always interacting with other people. And if we bring that high level of vibrational field, especially with the practice of coherence, we're a healing light out there in the world. And people, just like those guys in prison, bro, that's one of the greatest testimonies, the way that you weren't even saying anything. They would just, like, stuff was coming up for them just by being near you. And that's one of the biggest reasons to master coherence and to be practicing it.
Yeah, because now we're kind of all finding out that in a way we're enslaved, we're imprisoned, but it's not a bad thing. It's not something to continue to stay afraid of. We have the ability to exercise a degree of emotional intelligence that is in harmony with universal laws and frequencies. And the more we practice it, the more we get better at doing that, these great forces that are here and all around us, they begin to help entrain the state of being that somebody is choosing to get into when they just trust, they relax, totally relax, but keep their awareness alert. All it is a habit. And when you get really good at it, the world becomes amazing, because that is, in essence, like what's really going on. And so all the artificial stuff that's here temporarily, it doesn't stand a chance when it comes to this universal law or energy, divine law. It all eventually becomes entrained by it. And when I entrain, it's like, think of like if you hit a string on a guitar and all those other strings start to vibrate, sympathetic resonance. We're like that. We get into these states, we embody it, then we're a role model for others. You don't have to even say anything. You just be what you are. And they sense it. And they sense it not because it's me doing it or you. They sense it because there's something in them that they are beginning to sense. And that is where things really get interesting, because the longer somebody makes a practice out of being in a state of coherence with their entire being and beyond, the things we thought we valued and prioritized in this world really don't have the same value, because just the ability to harmonize yourself with these profound coherent energies and frequencies, it's food for the soul. It's water for the soul. Like, it is, in my experience, the most nourishing energy I could ever put into my being. And the more we get into that, the more we project that energy into our future. We project it all around us, but we literally are projecting it into a future And the future becomes something that supports you doing that even more. So that's what we're doing here tonight. It's what we're doing all the time anyway.
You mentioned that there were doorways and gateways and answers to problems that we're looking for, and maybe entrances into more favorable timelines. You almost need a vibrational combination to get into them, and the combination is vibrational, as in terms of like a coherent state. You're going to probably have a much better chance at coming up with a solution to something, or tapping into something, or in your case, by your own experience, manipulating your glands, to instructing them to function in the way that you are telling them to. That's all. That's not something you don't just get access to that stuff. You got to demonstrate being a steward, or being a vibrational steward of yourself, in order to have access to that. We're not going to give our 3-year-old the keys to the car. They got to grow up first, and show some responsibility. But I do believe there's I look forward. I've experienced it on my small level, but I look forward to the things that I get to experience and heal and figure out and understand by tuning into it.
Well, with that said, Greg, go ahead. Ooh,
You guys were in your own flow, and that was awesome. I just wanted to add in at the end here that it kind of jives with what you're even saying about plucking of the strings and everything. As far as studies that have actually been done where on one side of the room you have like a pitchfork tuned to a certain frequency, and you tap it. You got one at the other side. That frequency goes and it penetrates into the other pitchfork, the other tuning fork at the other side of the room. But man, so I had a 4-hour conversation earlier. When was that? Friday, I think it was, with a childhood best friend that I haven't spoken to in years. And it's like one of those things where I think that, and now in hindsight, I think that I've actually attracted, and with the timeline, I've attracted his field to his enlightenment, I guess you could say, for lack of a better phrase. But when I spoke with him, he was him and I were just like in total alignment. It was amazing to see how just in the past couple of years, since the event of like 2019 and whatnot, that the entire world has essentially raised their vibration and is awakening to a lot of these things, these recent events and everything that have been happening, but has become more in coherence. And so my conversation with him, we went from just like topic to topic for like 4 hours. We were starting on like coherence meditations, and of course Dispenzas, and then he was telling me about this awesome episode by Greg Braden, which I've been following for many years, called Missing Links. And he even told me specifically like season 3, episode 1, where it goes into, I think it's either episode 1 or episode 3 or 4, but it goes into like the heart, studies on like the heart. And Louis, you're talking about the aura and everything, but studies on the heart, thinking that they're originally it was originally said to have an aura of like 5 feet, but the science and everything behind that is that we are all interconnected. So it definitely goes out more than 5 feet, but anyways, what I'm getting to is that like everything recently in the past couple of years, the vibration of everyone and the coherence, the interconnectedness, it definitely shows. So those are my 2 cents.
Gold back 2 cents, or?
Yes. Sound money, gold back. No funny money. Yeah. My 2 cents. You bet, man.
You know, it reminds me at some point we'll get into the meditation quickly, because I know some people are saying that they have to be other places, so we'll get into it. But at some point we're going to do some exercises, because there's a way to really get into coherence quicker, and it's with your voice. You know, if you can focus on a sound, you don't need to sing, you don't need to do that at all. The sound of your voice when focused on something, you know, like when I'm out in the mountains or what, I can hear all these different energies of nature, and it's almost like like the wind kind of there. And then I just make a sound. And while I'm doing that and creating a sound, I'm just relaxing even more and keeping my alertness level even higher. And that tone that you make, when you begin to intentionally feel it all through your body, just like we do with feeling your pulse all through the body. This done, even just a little bit every day, your body will feel the effect that your voice has. And part of it is consistency, right? That sound that we make, and we do it consistently with intention to be complete, or to feel like everything we could ever want or need or believe is totally in our favor. And that's powerful, because everything is energy at different frequencies. And so your voice is a gateway for you as an individual to begin to attune yourself with that's why all these different sounds are incredibly healing, and it's easy to do. It's really easy to do. Just the thing is, like, making it a habit. That's where people kind of get jammed up a little bit. But again, you could just do it 5 minutes a day. Whatever you do, and you do it one day at a time, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, you'll just have a breakthrough. But it may not necessarily be like some divinely orchestrated breakthrough. It could just be that you have committed a part of your life to really understanding and attuning yourself with that life force that's in your body. That is so intelligent, it can do things that nobody can do, but we are that. It is us. Like, when we do that, when we get in alignment with it, you think that intelligence that knows how to make all this happen knows what we could do? Like, it's there to help us. If it can make this happen, imagine what it could do if you begin to create a relationship with it by harmonizing your entire being and your heart. And yeah, the energy field has the potential to be infinite, because it is already anyway. And so the more we intentionally attune ourselves with that frequency, we recognize and experience that feeling right here, right now. And it will move mountains. It will bring healing to a degree that so many are ready for, so that we can be a part of. We are representing our species. And this is a beautiful way to represent it. So with that said, I want to ask everybody to have some water, a glass of water, a cup of water. We'll give a minute here, so if somebody needs to go get it. The water that you bring, it becomes imprinted or entrained with this inner work that you're doing in your own being and together with us. And so the water will literally hold the frequency of you being totally relaxed, while at the same time totally alert, while also at the same time feeling your pulse everywhere in your body, anywhere in your body. And then moving on and graduating and being so present with the feeling of your pulse everywhere, you begin to feel your pulse in the moon, in the ocean, in Venus. Imagine what it would be like if you were so in tune with your pulse, which we already are. We're just in the process of realizing how connected we are. And that realization becomes how we embody it, you know? But can you imagine being so relaxed, so calm, recognizing and embodying the limitless soul that we all are, that has been transforming since who knows when? And when we're in that spot, focusing on feeling our pulse with the Milky Way universe or galaxy, I gotta say, like, you do that for a little while and you just do it so that you can be consistent. The things that have value in your life take on a whole new meaning. So with the water, I think everybody's back now. Have your water near you. We are water-based beings. And just get really comfortable. Your chair, your floor, your rug, your carpet, your couch, your bed, wherever you are, just totally relax into whatever it is that is holding you up. Let whatever it is just take all the gravity out of your body to just hold you in place so that you don't have anything weighing you down just for this time together. And as you relax more, just focus on your breath. Slow, gentle, rhythmic breathing. Even inhales, even exhales. To whatever degree you can create a rhythm in your breath. And you don't need to focus on it with everything you've got. You just let it be what it is. And you're intentionally choosing to be in harmony with the feeling of that rhythm of your inhale and exhale. As you relax, you're breathing rhythmically with your awareness that's totally relaxed and totally alert at the same time. And put a little smile on your face. You could say we're smiling from the heart. We're smiling from our brain, from our toes, our fingers. Let the feeling of that smile, whatever feeling it brings up in you, let your whole body, let it feel that. Because life is so incredibly profound and mysterious. And that mystery can be scary sometimes. But even if you're afraid, you can, like a child, being childesque, your eyes, your senses are open to the wonderment of your own being, of the world around you. You are bringing yourself to a place where even if you're affected by fear, you're still smiling. You don't necessarily have to have a smile on your face, but that feeling of giving life a chance, to trust it, even though it can be so scary at times. when you face anything in your life that you perceive as an issue or that you sense it could be holding you back, when you do it with joy or love, or even just a willingness to be present with your fear, your trauma, your drama, you are intentionally choosing to be so objective about all of this that it allows you to begin to smile. You have the ability to perceive your life from an objective standpoint where you're not so connected to your own inner emotional intelligence. You're willing to let your fear and your issues and the things that hold you back, you're willing to let that come up to the surface. So that even though you're facing something unknown or sketchy or sad or painful or anything, you're able to do it in a way that you're smiling. You're choosing to intentionally know the life force that is animating us, that is pulsing all through our being. And that mystery of life can seem so scary at first. It becomes something that you are so humbled by and that you love so much. And when you get into the ability you already have to do that, life responds right back to you. Things you would think or believe that are impossible suddenly become possible. Can you, as this being, be in harmony with the oceans of the world, all of it? Can you be in tune with the galaxy, the universe, the divine? None of that falls into the realm of limitation. It all becomes possible. It was just trying to get our attention so that we can pay attention to this trust, this love, this respect, reverence. We are choosing to prioritize the most important relationship in everybody's life, whether they realize it or not. And the more you get in tune with that relationship of you knowing God or the life force, the energy animating your being and allowing you to exist, thinking, feeling, and believing that you are a human being in a body, this energy, this life force is allowing all of that to happen. And even in moments where we feel like we're not in sync with life, we are. And if we go unconscious and then realize we did, we begin to build a skill set of being able to get in tune with that so fully that we begin to project that into the world. And that feeling of you being in alignment with everything that is the natural law, the frequency of nature, whether it's a little tiny bug or bacteria, or it is entire galaxies, universes, and multiverse. It is all nature. And though it may seem like a far shot, we are in tune with it. We already are in tune with it. And the more we allow ourselves to attune our senses to what we already are and what we already have, and that has us, the more we begin to flourish, the more our sense of self becomes enhanced with the remembrance and knowing of how good we can get by realizing what we are, alone and together, like we're doing here. So just continue to relax deeper. Breathe rhythmically, gentle. A little smile on your face that creates feelings that you can feel throughout your entire body. And to whatever degree you're ready for you to feel all of these ingredients working together, you don't need to force it. You don't need to believe in any kind of dogmatic way. All you're doing is relaxing your entire being. The density of physicality that we're all in, we're letting that be what it is. And we're relaxing into it, while at the same time, almost paradoxically, we are so alert, totally relaxed, and totally alert. Smiling, feeling whatever it is we feel, joy, happiness. Feeling that through your entire being. Or you could be choosing to feel it while you focus at a specific point in your body. And as you relax deeper, while keeping yourself awake and aware, gently scan your body. And if you feel there's anything in you that hurts, or that's painful, or that simply feels out of balance, focus on the first thing you feel. And you think about or perceive something in your body or in your life that's causing you trouble or making you feel restless. Let yourself just completely relax into whatever it is, the first thing that you focus on that you feel holds you back. Bring your awareness to that. And while you bring your awareness to it, you're breathing, you're smiling, and you're choosing to attune your own awareness with all your limitations, with all your pain, with all your drama, with all of the greatest fears that you could ever feel, including fears that maybe you aren't aware of yet. You are taking all of that. You're choosing to let it be what it is in you. And through your practice of being aware of it, you realize you're not really holding on to it. It's something that got into you, and now it wants your attention because you can bring these relaxed, alert states of being to all that you feel could be in your way. And you're letting everything, all the different polarities of your being, your body, of your perception, all the different polarities that make up everything we perceive in every moment, whether we even realize it or not. We have the ability to harmonize it with the relaxed state of being that our body starts to emit. And we choose to relax with it, trust it, and show to yourself that you're ready to go deeper into your own relationship with life. And that your willingness to go deeper into it is you calling out to life, letting life know that you are here and ready to know your true nature, your purpose for living or lack of purpose. When you begin to take anything you focus on, make peace with it, feel the pulse of your being in whatever issue. Those issues, the pain, the drama, you begin to be aware of how it's teaching us a much greater lesson. It's not just there as something to hold you back. It's there because it's something that can set you free. And setting you free by empowering you to realize, to know, to remember that whatever this innate intelligence is that is animating your being, our beings, our connection in this group, this community, you're choosing to harmonize with that has already been in an incomprehensible state of creative awareness, ever evolving, growing, presenting things that seem artificial so that we begin to forget how powerful we are, to let our perception of whatever we think is artificial, we can bring it into us and we can trust that it is there to teach the lessons we didn't even know we have access to learning until it happened. It is there to remind you how powerful you already are just by relaxing. And relax even more. Any of the spots or pains or anything that you focused on, relax even deeper into it. Be so present with your breathing, your senses. Be so present with it that you begin to go deeper into understanding and knowing the essential nature of this life force. And by choosing to create a greater relationship with it, allows you to be able to start incorporating greater energetic fluidity inside of you. You become able to be more aware. Your body begins to become more opened up so that you have the ability to know yourself, to know this power that you are, and to be able to have the ability to be so trusting of life, even though it could be scary. Or even if you're so in love with life and you don't believe you fear anything, no matter where you are at and where our world is at, the law of nature itself, the infinite, incredible, totally alive, living geometric fields that somehow gives birth to life. That's what we are. And that's what we have the ability to work with while we're here, while we're in these bodies. So you're relaxing. You have a little smile on your face. You're feeling that smile throughout your body. And if you can feel your heart beating, focus in the middle of your head and feel your pulse to whatever degree you can. If you can feel your pulse literally throbbing in the middle of your brain, in your head, let yourself feel it. And know that you are bringing greater attention, greater awareness, and feeling the pulse of life that's allowing you to exist with your own awareness. You're focusing that in the middle of your head, and all these ingredients together begin to amplify your awareness of the innate intelligence that's already there. And as you're feeling your own awareness focusing in this miraculous pulse of your heart in your head, by doing this, you're upping your amplitude to have greater flow of frequency that is being amplified in you by intentionally getting into a state of being that is so present with this profound innate intelligence that's already there. Keep your attention in this point in the middle of your head. And like a candle is flickering, let your ability to feel this pulse, let it be like a candle. It's flickering with every heartbeat you feel. You begin to attune who you think you are with what you are. The endless mystery of life. And life knows that you're making space in your being to become cognizant of space within you. And to see that even if it appears that nothing is there, it is there. Just like the magnetic field, we might not see it, but we know it's there. Let that point in the middle of your head just flicker with every beat of your heart. And as it's flickering, let it emanate outward like signals coming out of a tower. Only this is a natural signal. There's nothing artificial about this. And if you're allowing your pulse in the middle of your head to emanate outward and inward at the same time, while choosing to focus on knowing what it is that's allowing you to do that. You show up. You are letting life know that you're ready to be present with it. And it will support you. It always has been. Just didn't seem like it for a little while. And now that's all changing. And you're just breathing, being totally relaxed, letting whatever surface we're on hold as much of our body weight as you allow it. And with that little smile while you're focused in the middle of your head, very slowly just let that feeling of you feeling your pulse in your head, let it gently just move down the column of your body into your heart. You're just choosing to change your focus. And now you're right in the area where your heart is beating. Let that focus of you in the middle of your head, let your heart beat at whatever rate it's beating. And allow yourself to feel how the pulse in your head has been empowered by your heart. And begin to feel the pulse of your heart and the pulse in the middle of your head. Let them communicate with each other naturally. And as they're doing that, you're choosing to just be aware of it. remind yourself that you have the ability to love life, even if it hurts, even if it appears to be something so terrible. You have the ability to alchemize your perception of whatever it is you believe is troubling you. And that by your actions of doing that, you're allowing your perception of reality, of life, to be of a greater holistic frequency than the temporary situation that you're aware of in your body or in the world around you. And if you're able to feel your pulse in your chest, your heart beating, with the pulse in the middle of your head, let the awareness of those two organs communicating with each other begin to drop into your gut, literally right in the middle of your gut, right behind your belly button. And let yourself feel your heart beating in your belly. Breathing gently. You're focused inside of your belly, harmonized by your heart and your brain. And you're smiling because you know this means something. Really let yourself feel your pulse in your tongue. In your own time, to whatever degree you're ready. You can feel your pulse in these three areas right now. You just barely try. You don't need to push it at all. Just let yourself be more and more aware of what is already happening. And your willingness to bring your awareness to what is happening increases the amplitude of energy that is already there. It amplifies it, allowing you to feel the source of your own heart, what it is that is causing all of this to happen from the inside out. You're prioritizing that relationship. Even if you get distracted in this world, there's a part of you that knows what you really are, what is really happening. And bit by bit, the more you consistently allow yourself to know what you already are, the more empowered you become to sustain these states longer and longer. To the degree that whether your eyes are open or closed, if you're awake or asleep, you are sustaining these states of being like it's second nature. You're allowing it to become first nature, so that everything you begin to perceive is filtered through the energy, the intention of you prioritizing where you focus your attention. Life wants you to be the greatest expression of what you are capable of producing. Just takes a little remembering, a little reconnecting. And at some point, you become more and more aware of this, to the degree that eventually you don't forget it. You know that this part of your nervous system, of this source energy that you are on autopilot while it is guiding you. And you can go anywhere you want, anything you want to do. It just takes you intentionally creating a deeper relationship with what you already are. So you're smiling, you're really letting yourself feel that smile. You're breathing, gentle, relaxed. You are in such a state of calm that you're literally able to feel your pulse anywhere in your body or everywhere at the same time. You're allowing all of this to be a natural expression of your willingness to connect deeper to what you already are and what is already communicating to us, through us. Whether we're aware of it or not, we have the ability to become so aware of the things that nourish us individually and collectively as these beings. That energy that is in every single one of us, that is in every single thing we experience in this world. When we all bring this togetherness of intentionally focusing on a state of calm with awareness of the pulse and the willingness to make that a primary focus of your life, then you really become a student. And life really wants to teach you what you're capable of doing. Relaxing, smiling. You're feeling your pulse anywhere or everywhere in your body. And you're letting your awareness of this energy field continue to flicker like a candle, or to expand outwardly and inwardly like a radio antenna. You're letting all of that happen, and your awareness of it is increasing your ability to be more and more aware of it. And let yourself expand. Let your awareness of all of this expand with the knowing that everything inside of you is ready to be supported by the harmonization and the remembering reconnection of that we already are. And all of those elements put together gives you the ability to expand that frequency that's already emanating out of you further and further, while you're aware of it at the same time. if you're conscious of feeling your pulse right now, choose to focus on the glass of water or the bottle of water, whatever it is that you are allowing the water to be in. Just see if you can let yourself feel your pulse in that water. You may not get it right now, but with a little bit of consistent practice, you will. And if you can feel it right now, if you can literally feel your heart beating in the water that you have next to you, let yourself totally trust that that's happening. Allow who you think you are to go on standby while your body's entire nervous system is totally in tune with itself and allowing you to feel your pulse anywhere. It is this simple. It's just a little bit of consistency that needs to be done. If you're able to feel your pulse in the water, you can intentionally program it or give instruction to it or create some kind of sympathetic resonance with that water. And that water begins to communicate with the water in your own body, around your body. And at some point, you become aware that there is no separation from it. All of these elements are absolutely connected and working together. You can take your emotional shortcomings or stagnation and really harmonize it with this greater awareness of what you already are. And the more you begin to gently, but with total alertness, feel your pulse throughout your entire body, you're allowing yourself to feel your pulse anywhere that you allow it to be, because it's already there. You just maybe didn't make the conscious connection, but now you are. And if you can feel your pulse, or even if you're just working on feeling your pulse in the water, put that little smile on your face again and feel that smile in that water with every beat of your heart. And know that you are intentionally creating greater connectivity to all of life, starting from the inside. Breathing, you relax. You're feeling your own joy or happiness or smile. Giving yourself a pat on the back, because even though it might not seem like it, you are making progress. Great progress. One that has the ability to affect everybody and everything, no matter what. We're going to start to come out of this, but we're going to keep that awareness as a set point. We're going to let our body, the innate intelligence of life, we're going to let it know that we're going to change brain waves. We're going to change heart waves. We're going to come out of a state of total relaxed awareness, relaxed alertness, and allow ourselves to begin to start coming into this world, bringing all of that energy that is already there, that you focus, and that your nervous system is sustaining your ability to do for longer and longer. You're coming out of as far as you went into the mystery, and you're letting all of the work that you did and that we did together to continue being alive, to continue allowing yourself to be alive of it. Life is quantum. It has infinite potential. And we have the ability to be in harmony and express that inner potential, that creative energy out into our world, individually and together. Give yourself one more little pat on the back with a smile. And for anybody who wants to keep staying in this and go deeper into it, just hang up with this call, this Zoom that we're on, and keep going as much as you want. And those who are ready to come out of it, while keeping it there still, letting it persist. Take your fingers and start at the top of your forehead and just gently massage it slowly in little circles from the top of your head down through your eyes, your nose, your cheeks. Just gently massage all of these areas. And if you happen to feel a little pain or a little resistance, make a little note of that. It's one of your teachers, and it's ready to teach you when you're ready to learn. And if you're still here, take your water and have a sip of it. And if anybody wants to chat or talk or anything at all, we can do that for a little while. And if not, that's totally fine as well. I don't know how that was for you guys, but I had a great time.
Do you feel that you even have to consciously look for the words, or do you kind of go away and something speaks through you as you, or a combination of the two? Or
It's a combination of a lot of different elements, but all it is just practice Like I said, you can be totally engaged with the world while still being completely relaxed and alert. And that's when the things we do in this world, the relationships we create with life, with others, with this beautiful place that we're in that is alive and supporting us and filled with countless microbes and bacteria, we can be so attuned to all of that that we can often forget anything that was troubling us. Oh, Nancy said, no words, only loving kindness. Yeah. Discog, I love, there's so many people who keep coming back every time. I love that. We'll just give it a few more moments. If nobody has anything they want to share, then we'll continue to just go on and do whatever we do until next meditation. Which, by the way, just because we did it here live, you can do that meditation. I usually tell people, if this is the work they're doing, this is what is really helping them, then just keep doing the meditation once a day if you can, until the next one. Or maybe because we've been focusing on all these different bodily systems, you can go back and find one that speaks to whatever your own system is, or what part of your bodily system you feel like you like to up the amplitude of. And obviously share this, like it, love it, tag people. Let's get everybody, as many as we can, because the ripples that this creates in the fabric of the universe are exponential, even if it's only a few of us doing this.
I see Pamela over in YouTube. Yes, you can hit replay. So the live Zoom sessions are recorded over in YouTube. If you take a look at the Cosmic Gaia community channel, be sure to go under the live tab. All of our replays for the past several months are there. So by all means, go over there and just hit play on whichever one you'd like to do.
Yeah, and we're going to keep going too. Like, if people have things that they would like for us to focus on, let us know.
Yeah, I was speaking with like I mentioned, I'm my childhood best friend Ryan. He he was telling me that he wakes up every single morning, and this is the first thing that he does. He meditates every single morning. He sometimes goes for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
He doesn't let it slip by, not a moment, not a day slips by. So that's great.
There's a part of that too that, in my own life experience, like no matter what I'm doing, there's this part that has always been there that if I just relax into it, it's almost like I start going into a trance, but it's not a trance. I start going into something that is so real that the quote unquote trance that seems to be happening, it becomes entrained with the individual who's choosing to be aware of life so intimately. And that's fun. That's growth. That's exciting for me.
Now, and come to think of it, so Dispenza even says it's best to meditate. I think he says like at 4 a.m. or so, when not so much light is actually reaching your cave of Brahma. You're between your pituitary gland and your pineal gland and whatnot. So I guess that's just a good opportune time. And maybe I haven't tried that, but maybe it's actually a good way to set your intention for the day, right? What do you think?
Yeah. The rest of your life, even.
Well,
All of life. Right? And there's a lot of different discussions about this, because for all we know, people have been doing stuff like this forever, ever since they came into existence, because it has always been there. So who's to say that there are those who were so aware that it was there that they prioritized it? Of course they did. And now we can. Well, who is that 100th monkey going to be? I'm looking forward to seeing who that is. Grandpa Brill, let me see. I pray and project my thoughts into my water every morning until nighttime on my front and back steps between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Yeah. Of course, there are times that totally support our ability to do this. And at the same time, we're all working together so that we have the ability to always be like this. And then all quote unquote time becomes an opportune time to be deeper into that awareness of it. Louis, I know you always have something to say. How come I don't hear from you? I thought you were the 100th monkey. Yeah. Oh, look, there's Laura in the chat. What? Yeah. Laura, if you want to come on and say hi, we're going to just end this short.
Hi, guys.
What a surprise.
I was so excited about this, and we were going to jump on. Yeah, an hour before you guys normally do this. And a few things erupted, call it all the retrogrades I was going to talk about. But yeah, I shared, and it's been awesome. I was just tuning in, and then finally it was in and out, and now I have a good enough signal. So sorry, you guys. I hope we can continue to do this without the interruption.
Yeah, they're not interruptions, though. Everything is right there to teach us, right? The more we, the more we trust it, the more we surrender into it, the more we learn.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like after what you just shared, that staying in that vibration would be like super awesome. I know we did a astro report, like I think it was Sunday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if people, they can find that on the Cosmic Gaia community channel. You don't need to do live because we uploaded it. So it's just there. And it's interesting because all these retrograde planets and the blue moon, this is a rare alignment that all these things are doing that, right?
Definitely. I feel it's just a huge opportunity before Pluto goes into Aquarius again in 2024. Almost like everything is pulling us back into a deep process. So meditation, doing the inner work, which is everything right now. I mean, we got Pluto, Saturn, Chiron, Neptune, Uranus went into a standstill. Jupiter is in a current standstill, which is about to go retrograde. And Venus went direct. So it's like one goes direct and then another one goes retrograde. So we're still like 6-7 planets. And that's a lot. So I really feel that sometimes it's not about being able to create action with some of the choices we want to make. We need to like really reflect and make sure that when we move forward, almost like the car is going into the shop, make sure it has enough oil, the tires are full, and like make sure that your intention is set, your inner GPS is connected to your greatest and highest intention, so that when you start to manifest and create, there's nothing infecting your creative channels. It's a total time for clearing, looking at your wounds, looking at how you react to them, and maybe distort reality based in the victim shame blame game. And not to say that we aren't impacted or harmed or hurt, but where can we be the spiritual warrior to just begin to harness our creative intention again? Because really the psyops and the false flags are to infect that aspect of who we are, our creative imagination. So we enable things we do not want. And what I like to always bring attention and focus to is that when we can see ourselves in relationship with everything and creation, where is it not on the highest level? Same with our partnerships with other people and our relationship with ourselves. Where do we need to take a step up? And when we can look at that with self-honesty and humility, we can begin to, tend to what needs to be released or transmuted, or where we need a different perception or perspective to override maybe a trajectory that it's really based in letting something take advantage of us or steal our power. So it's a very painful period. And I think a lot of people who are so-called awake might be finding themselves like, whoa, I thought I had already cleared this and it's coming up again. So it's very thorough, but we need to create space and time for ourselves to just go into that zone. But I don't want to, disrupt the vibe after what you just shared.
No, you're not at all. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is because we're getting in harmony with our body, with everything. I don't fully get all of astrology, but I feel it. When it is happening, it is there. And so my initial intention is like, okay, well, how do I create greater coherence with all of these, relationships of all these different cosmic forces coming in at the same time? And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. And so can you, and so can all of us.
It's true. And just this is what I love about this gathering. We want to feel like we're not alone in it, and pretending we have it all figured out doesn't work either. I mean, it's like we're in the flow. If we're like riding down like water rapids, do we really have control? No, we have to flow. And so much of that water element is asking for us to like surrender a bit, but know how to like put the paddle in so that it's not, we have so much control, but not full control. And when we don't have full control, we have to trust that our higher self knows what it's doing, because these natural forces are a part of our higher intelligence. When we look at it through the lens of the human realm and we don't like what we're seeing, we miss out on the initiation, which is appropriately challenging us to not perceive it through the eyes of duality, like this is good or bad, or, we're doomed, or we're like on the right course. I feel like we just need to see what it's showing us in order to determine what the true obstacles are, which could be ancestral patterns. It could be old programs. It could be, something that we're projecting upon ourselves or other people. And if we could just flow with it a little bit, I feel that the surge of release is enough to clear, but we can't override it. So Mercury being in retrograde as well, I think is actually a blessing in disguise. When a lot falls apart, it can hold space for us to take time out of our schedule and say, this is more important. That conversation you might need to have with a loved one, the door you need to close to people that are coming at you. It's okay to just put the pause button on. And society doesn't set it up that way with a 9 to 5 or go to just work every day. And I think a lot of us who have been doing the inner work have made sure that we set aside the time for ourselves to accommodate the dark night of the soul experiences. And when we can accommodate it, it's not so dark. It's like, you might be meditating on a mountainside, or just like what this gathering is holding. If you feel like you need to show up for something else, but your body is telling you this is what I need, it would be the same sort of tendency to say, I'm not going to sleep when I need to sleep, or eat when I'm hungry. It's like, I feel like this is a deep need for humanity right now to take a step back before the next level of psyops or pandemic or mandates. Did we learn from what we just got thrown? I think that's why there's 6 or 7 planets in retrograde, like the rubber band being held back a little bit before it's full throttle, because the shadow side of Aquarius, when Pluto moves into Aquarius in 2024, is dark technology and AI. when we can recognize that we are the higher octave, the override frequency, and the most advanced technology of all, I feel we can dismantle the belief systems that are hijacking our creative power and intent and creative imagination and all that. So that's why I know it's like I couldn't show up for whatever reason I was dealing with. And it's not like this is rigid and like, oh, well, all right, Laura, you just screwed up. It's like, no, we're a little bit more fluid, right?
A lot.
And if we could have more of that fluidness in our culture and society without it being making excuses or running away, maybe that's a bad example, but I want to replay because I when I jumped on, I was hearing some really amazing stuff from all of you. And so I appreciate just
Oh my God,
the
Laura.
opportunity. Yeah. Meditation and just inner reflection and really anchoring and grounding. What is your intention? What are you devoted to? What within you can you hold strongly within yourself, knowing that the road might be a little bit bumpy ahead? Did you put your 4-wheel drive tires on internally? Wow, and Burning Man might be an example of that kind of
Gosh. It's fun. We were actually going to do something for it, but it just didn't occur that way with this. But yeah.
It seems everybody's getting out and everything's good, but you know, there's nothing to fear in times of crisis. I feel that our opportunity to be the override frequency or to upgrade in the face of adversity is the challenge that we've been presented with, instead of seeing it through the lens of good or bad. If we can be resourceful and more embracing of our ability to shift reality around us based on our perspective. I mean, I think this is the ultimate story behind you, Seth, and I'm sure like everybody on this panel, when you get through like what others might deem to be almost impossible. Wasn't it your perspective that changed everything?
Yeah, I had to condition my attitude, you know, because that whole reactivity thing of like, "Ugh," I don't need to be triggered. Like, and all my hangups, trying to get my attention in ways that I might not even think of, you know. And then bit by bit over time, you see these patterns of behavior, of awareness form, and you get to like pivot or intentionally take all that together and crystallize it and move forward.
Yeah.
And what happens when there's a whole bunch of us on this world all doing that together? It seems like that's what's happening everywhere, globally.
Yeah, I feel like we're being pushed to the edge for that reason, to unlock that treasure chest, to move beyond the gatekeepers, to realize that that's just a lock in what seems to be a closed doorway, but we have the key. And when the key is available, I mean, that's what I feel the zodiac is. It's a treasure map. You look at all the aspects, it's like, oh gosh, that's going over here, that's going over there. But what is it really showing us? How to get into the 0 point, how to get into that space of integration of polarity, because every sign has a polarity. And if you look at the North and South node, which it represents the greater soul journey, it requires us to integrate polarity, but we're all given our specific challenges in our own, you know, chart. Mine happens to be South node Cancer, North node Capricorn. I'm like, oh God, no, not Capricorn. Well, I was born in that window. Now we're dealing with South node Libra, North node Aries. So no matter what we're either born with or what we're contending with, we are here to integrate polarity, and the North and South node show that. So the South node being Libra would be reflecting upon, where are we out of balance? Where are we people pleasing? Where are we answering to something that is maybe like draining us or causing the scales to not be fully in balance, because we're in that fourth chakra. When we can move into a higher kind of level of love, of universal kind of neutrality love, which is, okay, I can love, but I can still have a boundary. And every planetary energy and sign has its shadow side. So when we reflect upon the South node, it's like our chance to, you know, revisit something until like we're pushed to resolve it. And so the North node Aries is, all right, it's not about being selfish or self-centered, but in reflection of needing balanced relationships and harmony within relationships, where are you negating self? And where are you not standing up for yourself? And in the larger picture of how it's manifesting on the world stage is, where are we complying? Where are we not like looking at how out of balance, things are? Because it's also justice. So the higher octave of Libra would be justice, balance, harmony, knowing that true oneness is diversity and harmony, not just people pleasing and trying to do what we're being told to do just to not rock the boat. That's the lower level energy of Venus. And the higher octave of Mars is the warrior energy, not like me, and only me. It's like you can consider you, and how does that work with others? It still appreciates that Libra energy because that integration is there. But not at the level of giving your power away or being so out of balance that your health is being compromised. So I feel that's what we're up against. It's stepping into that I am creator self, but appreciating that that can get out of control just as much as people pleasing can negate the self. So where can that integration of polarity, help us to be who we truly are and partner with something that appreciates that? And where do we need to break the conditioned and groomed ego and negative ego in order to find that balance within ourselves that is keeping it in check, which would be the balance of our solar plexus, our ego identity. And I know that might have sounded a little like, okay, where's she going with this? But it's so interesting to look at the nodes, right? And in our own.
Well, that's what actually I was going to say. Can you explain what the nodes are? Because
They're opposite. Yeah.
that,
so like
to
Virgo,
me, when I first started learning about nodes, I was like, whoa, okay, that made more sense to me than, the obvious sun signs and ascending and like.
I think it's the most, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's it. I was going to say they were so impactful in my life. And when I understood what it was, things cleared up a lot.
Well, look at every full moon, right? We just had the Virgo sun with the Pisces full moon. And that is a major integration of polarity. So what does that look like? You got the Piscean energy, which is all about the creative imagination and multidimensionality. And its opposite sign happens to be Virgo, Earth, Mercury, right? So when you integrate that polarity, it's like energy medicine. It's including the multidimensional with the physical. When the physical is just physical, like, oh, I've got these symptoms on a physical level or like a mental level because it's ruled by Mercury, people panic. They're like going to go on pharmaceuticals, go to their doctor. What's wrong with me? And they're actually losing an opportunity to get to know themselves more. When they see the polarity of Neptune Pisces, they're going into the creative imagination and the unseen realms where unconscious blocks, ancestral patterns, negative looping that might not have been processed, where does that end up in the physical vessel? So an unintegrated Neptune Pisces would be the body is taking on the toll of an unprocessed emotion or trauma or wound or belief system. And when it's able to go into the unseen realms and actually look at that and look at belief systems that you want to maybe reset or reconfigure, then once you do that, the physical is going to change. But if you don't give yourself the time to locate it, like meditation can do, and just being in nature and embracing sort of that dark night of the soul or whatever you want to call it, without doing that, you're just handling the physical symptoms and answering to that is maybe a diagnosis or a stigma that you carry and a label that you carry that doesn't appreciate, the importance of seeing like, where are your belief system? What do you believe about yourself? Where's your self-worth? Where are you in fear of your power? Where are you operating under an expectation from outside of you or in panic or survival? Because, it's like, whoa, we have so much more to tap into. And the gatekeepers that have kept us from seeing such a larger picture is very often what that inner work is all about. And so that's an integration of polarity. All we have to do is look at the zodiac wheel. Capricorn is opposite Cancer, right? So for example, I was born with South Node Cancer. It has a lot to do with family agreements. Ooh, how did I end up in the Eisenhower family? What the hell did I agree to? And then the North Node Capricorn. Okay, I'm going to work it out as far as like my greater life path and career path. So I'm not taking on just your typical career path. I am reflecting on the South Node in my agreements and integrating the two. And noticing also that Saturn squares in my chart are the things I need to break. Maybe the pressure, maybe the energy blocks of other family members that aren't willing to talk about the things that I'm willing to talk about. So I got to knock that down. And maybe, for me personally, it wasn't meant for the last generation. It was meant for this generation because it was really dangerous back then. So somebody who might have Gemini, South Node, North Node, Sagittarius, they might have learned a lot from the school system and been communicators of what they learned, but they are integrating the Jupiter Sagittarius, which is travel, adventure, philosophy, opening your mind to maybe alternative healing or education. And then when you integrate the two, what you communicate is actually bringing in something that you wouldn't have otherwise. So we're all blessed, or sometimes it feels cursed, with that South Node, North Node. But then we have the transits as a humanity. And if we can work both and understand the transits and what we came in with and put our attention on it, knowing a little bit more about the discomfort, but what it really represents, I think it, is a really positive and helpful tool. And I think one of the most important aspects of the natal chart is understanding the nodes, because if we're going to move into the 5D, it's the ether element, is the fifth chakra. It's our throat. Like, are we speaking truth? Or are we regurgitating mind viruses or stuck patternings that are keeping us looping? And I just find that when I work with clients and looking at the nodes and what aspects connected to the nodes are a part of that blueprint of the rest of your chart, you begin to unlock your greater purpose, and it helps to clear away the distractions. Because sometimes the distractions are, am I supposed to put my attention on it? I mean, we're being effed with right and left. So it's very easy to go into a cloud of like confusion, and all the clarity that we can possibly gain, I feel is, helpful. But when you're mindful and you're conscious, you don't really need the astro chart because you're feeling it anyway, and you're going to take the time, right? So it's not like, oh, you got to know your astrology. It's also in knowing that when you're mindful and conscious, you're already working with the elemental energies, and it's almost just there to explain something. Like, you would want to understand the biology of a flower when it's being attacked by, an outer force, to understand why is the plant's not growing correctly. Why is this being blocked? It helps to understand the deeper construct behind it in order to create solutions. But if you're mindful and you already kind of know when you're embodied, you don't really need to know all that, which is what I love about this group, because whether you understand the astrology or not, it's sort of like the physical body. To be healthy, do we have to know everything about the inner workings? Well, we might want to know if we're in a crisis.
Yeah.
And something's going on. Like, we want to know that the liver stores anger or the lungs store grief. We want to understand a larger picture outside of just the physicality. And that's where, astrology is super helpful. Just like, Chinese medicine, we're elemental beings. The nucleic acids of our DNA are elemental. The mitochondrial DNA, connected to the mother, connected to the ether, is that fifth element that is the great purifier, And so when we look at our chart, we can like really see what has gotten in the way. We have amnesia. We're born with amnesia. How can we unlock some things that we might miss otherwise? But I think meditation is a great way to tap into it without having to have the map. But if a person's in crisis and you feel really lost, or you're going through like a breakup, or you lost your job, or you are unsure about your greater soul mission, it really helps. It really helps. So,
Well, you know what? If you're available next Tuesday, maybe we'll just skip the meditation and just all of us go deep with you. You can present all this stuff, explain it, and then we'll just get dialogue.
Well, I don't want to disrupt your Tuesday thing. We
No,
could always use another day.
Yeah, sure, we could do another day, but no, this isn't. We actually were going to do that. Like every third or fourth meditation, we wanted to have a special guest on anyway.
Yeah, I
So
could just do this once a month, and then you and me, Seth, we can choose any day or time, and we could do sample readings. I mean, I'm willing to put my chart out on the table, although I don't know my birth time, but just as an example, right? And it's very generational. Like the nodes are going to be like a gap of many years. Same with the outer planets, and the outer planets are very initiatory, right? And they're all
initially, you
going
said?
retrograde right now. So Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune are the outer planets. And when they're in square aspects, it means that we don't know how to navigate because we might be thrown the psyop version, right? So all the big transformative growth periods for humanity, you know, the deep state know this. So they create psyops in order to invert the energy so that instead of initiating through it, we're in the inverse or the inversion, which is basically the same thing. So yeah, it's very fascinating. And we could do like a sample chart, whether it's just you and me or you want to do the group. I mean, talk to, you know, everybody here, Greg and Louis and Grandpa Bill and like everybody who's like been here, Lee and Discog. I appreciate, I know you guys have been doing this, and yeah, but I mean, that's basically like how I present material. Like, let's look at the outer planets, the initiatory planets. We know they're going into retrograde. We could do like a sample chart and or not, but all that is retrograde. So these are very initiatory forces that, and when they go inward, it means the more breakthroughs and breakdowns, the dark night of the souls, and exploring our creative imagination in these times as it goes inward, so that we can like do our like housekeeping on an energetic level. That is preparing us for when everything really begins to accelerate in the next wave of either fake alien invasion or the next psyops, the next pandemic. Like, this is a chance to ask ourselves, like, how much are we vibing with the cosmic and natural forces and cosmic and natural law versus an artificial storyline that is infecting our creative channels, so we enable it, and where is it throwing us into survival, stress, fear, and avoidance? And so yeah, I'd love to address that at some point, but no expectation on
Let's
when.
do
how.
it. No, I mean it. I'd like to just focus. It deserves just to totally focus on all this, because you know, your ability to like do chart readings like on the fly is amazing. And I
Yeah,
think
we could take calls and this and that. Maybe it's just another day that we all choose to do together. I mean, I think you know, what this platform and container is really holding is, you know, the opportunity to just work the energy. It gets kind of heady when, you know, it's like, here's the astrological, even though that can, you know, assist when one is processing, to just know what should be composted, and maybe the parts of your chart that are pointing you in a direction of, you know, because, you know, sometimes people are like, why am I so tired? I can't get out of bed. Well, maybe they have like 5 planets in the 12th house, and that's the best gift that they can give themselves. But you don't like run into a society that says, you know, you should be a professional dreamer because all your planets are in the 12th house, and you can really spend your time holding an intent for the creative consciousness, right? Or you don't go to a doctor and see on their resume, you know, is he really qualified? Okay, he might have gone through the schooling and got the certificate, but you might look in his chart where he's absolute quack, and he's like probably the worst person you could pay to tell you about your health and well-being. So wouldn't it be amazing if that was part of the resume? Because I see charts all the time of people that feel very defeated, and they're some of the most advanced souls, but they got all the crap when they were growing up of, you got ADD, or you know, you're crazy, you know, this or that. And you see that it's all coming from dark Saturn, outer authority, that is just squashing these individuals. But they're like more qualified than the ones that are being paid a lot of money to kind of screw up a person's path and put them on a bunch of pharmaceuticals. So I just see it as you know, yeah, yeah. I think you know where I'm going, and I'm not going to be like, oh, let's look at, you know, their charts and just, but you know, they might be missing out on their growth period to just say, look, I was blackmailed, or, you know, I got obsessed with being rich and I sold my soul. Like, the chart might show that, but do they really want to look? So it's a very interesting thing that I've learned along the way. And yeah, we can dedicate time to it. I hope this wasn't too disruptive to all those that are in the zone after what you guys shared, but that's kind of yeah, what I've learned and what I'm here to bring to the table, and it's more like being soul centered than being predictive. It's like, what is the patterning? What are the doorways that are wanting to open, and where are you like getting in the way of yourself or allowing things to sabotage? And I feel the more transparency and honesty we have with each other about it, you know, we're really embracing the 13th sign, which is Ophiuchus, which is ruled by Chiron, the wounded healer, which is asking us to really look at where our wounds are, because that's where our ego is challenged. It doesn't want to admit its wounds. It doesn't want to admit that it might have been wrong. And that is the biggest stuckness I see in humanity right now. And to shine some light on that so that we can allow the ego to integrate into the soul matrix and spirit realm, which would allow it to express these greater forces of cosmic and natural law and be a conduit to it. That is where I feel the change is most necessary. Because when we look at 3D, we're looking at the lower chakras. We're looking at the third chakra, the question of power, and people struggle with, you know, the right and wrong of it all. Where one can get really stubborn or really in self-destructive patternings. So yeah, I'll shut up now, but I'm so sorry I missed you guys earlier. And
Oh,
oh,
we
thanks.
love you. Everybody here loves you. And yeah, I hope let's keep doing it. Let's we'll start fresh. We'll just because a lot of it is too, we gotta get in harmony together. We gotta talk to each other. And so by you presenting this stuff and then us encouraging people to hey, feel free to ask questions to,
And check ourselves. There's nothing more humbling than just seeing, because, you go to a doctor, you get blood tested and it's okay, you need this mineral or this vitamin. This is a little bit off. I mean, there's no difference with the chart because, it's earth, air, fire, water. We're looking at the water element. We've got 70% water in our body. We're looking at the earth. Well, we're in a physical vessel. We're looking at the fire. Well, that's our life force. That's our passion. We're looking at, the air, our thoughts polluted, and then when we see the world and we see the elemental energies of our planet being contaminated with chemtrails and the waters being contaminated with Fukushima type events, we're really a reflection of that. And I feel the earth responds to us. And when we understand which elementals are the most contaminated, where is it getting in the way and where are we not seeing it? It's informing to us all. But yeah, I mean, wherever you guys feel like it fits in, you guys all talk with each other. I mean, I'm available, and we could do sample readings and
yeah, everybody learns from that. That's awesome. When somebody steps up and has a sample reading and then everybody's paying attention, we can quote unquote hold space for that person to evolve.
Exactly. I mean, I would, even just ourselves. I mean, not to say you guys necessarily, but, we're building the 12 strand DNA, we're rebuilding it. And it's based in sharing, the different energies that we have chosen to embody. Right. But when we're understand that unity, consciousness, and oneness is diversity and harmony, and we don't see our differences as a problem, but we integrate it together, then all the different maps that we're looking at, somebody might have a predominance of water energy, but they might need another elemental to feel that wholeness. We're helping each other rebuild our 12 strand DNA by switching on things that are dormant. So there might be something I don't have in my chart that you have in your chart. And so when I hear what your chart is, it might light up something in me that's oh, well, thanks, because I'm all water over here. I need more water, right? I could really use some land. I could, so what's awesome is bringing more attention to this and understanding it. I feel through a different perspective than it just being predictive. It's 12 houses, right? With the 13. And how can we work it so that we all learn and grow from each other, and we can see that we're actually rebuilding something, the tree of life, and integrating polarity, and finding more comfort in our dysfunctions and more reassurance and more validation to the beautiful gifts that we have to bring. And where can some of our gifts help somebody's dysfunctions and vice versa? It's whoa, the puzzle pieces are actually coming together.
Louis had his hand up. I would love to hear what you're saying.
So prior to reading Autobiography of a Yogi, where they go into astrology and they kind of call out like it's a very saturated field of a lot of people out there giving incorrect readings, and so it's not that astrology is something to be discussed. It's finding good people that are doing it correctly, and I believe Laura's one of them. And then I remember like being challenged, like with like, well, I was like, yeah, I read the daily astrology thing, and it just seems so general and this and that, and you could make it apply to you or not apply to you. Then I was like, well, if there's any questions about the planetaries positioning and being aware of the forces of planetary positionings, go ahead and park your boat at high tide and come there in the morning and watch it be beached. Like we don't have to question the power. We see it. And it's kind of, I remember there was a quote in there that said, in the Autobiography of the Yogi, astrology is not for millionaires, it's for billionaires, or they really pay.
No, I saw that.
I don't know. I don't think I did it justice, but something like that. And then I was Googling quotes from Autobiography of a Yogi, referencing astrology, and this little short one came up. It says, astrology is a study of man's response to planetary stimuli. The stars have no conscious benevolence or animosity. They merely send forth positive and negative radiations. And it would probably be useful to know, to have that subject, to know something about that subject if you're trying to navigate through this crazy world we're in right now. And I mean, just like with Mercury retrograde, there are some people who believe so strongly in that they will not initiate certain things during that time because they know the forces are not in their favor. So it's probably good stuff to know.
Yeah.
So,
and a part of like bringing it into like a conversation with, you guys, there's no fixed way to do it. And the more like we just bring the topics up, I mean, Seth and I did that recently. I can mention a topic, but it's about feeling wounded, right? So you can have one aspect like Venus square Chiron, right? Broken heart, feeling victimized, but then the higher octave of it is a person that holds a lot of wisdom. So predictive astrology and those that just go to like know what, and of course, like knowing certain things like the retrograde to maybe take a pause button and see, but also be willing to let go of what the aspects are telling you, to just follow your intuition and then see what happens, because we need the organic growth that isn't overly informed to the point where it's going to trip them up. Because I've gotten readings that have gotten in the way of me where I'm like, God, I wish I didn't get that reading, because if I didn't know, I would have organically created this and learned from my own lesson. And it just almost felt invasive for somebody to read it in a way that wasn't just like, I look at it like you take your vehicle to the shop and you know what is depleted and you know what is maybe in excess, like excesses and deficiencies. You understand the patterning. Then it's up to, the individual to process through, the things that are being brought up, to then be in their sovereignty to, like, when, you get enough of an idea to then determine what you're going to manifest. Because when it's too predictive, and just like when people say, oh, this is what's going to happen in 3 years, is going to, let's talk about probabilities. And if, you didn't pay attention to this aspect or develop it or process through it, it does have, like, I wouldn't want to say a weak point, but it has a pressure that's being placed upon you that you wouldn't want to miss out on. Like, I'm so careful. Like I would pray to God and Jesus or whatever, Christ, Mother Earth, whatever source energy. Like if I'm going to use this tool, I want it to serve the higher self of that person and the planet. And anything that falls short of that, I'll either cancel that day or I won't show up or it just won't work out. Because if I'm not on the highest level of, interpreting this, then it doesn't feel appropriate, because you're entering somebody's sacred space. So I understand these quotes big time. And I just think there's a way to use it in a way to like be cautionary about it. Just like, anybody that's going to begin to look deeply into any aspect of who you are, how much is that really serving the person, and holding that intention, I feel is, important thing. So we don't even have to talk about astrology. It's like, it's like touching upon it or reflecting upon it, but all these things are going to come up whether we look at the astrology or not. It's basically saying, if you look at the weather forecast, is that determining whether or not it's going to rain or have sunshine? It's going to happen. And we're going to like wake up and experience the weather. Knowing might mean that, oh, wow, okay, I better bring my raincoat, better bring my boots. It can just give a person a little bit of preparation, but then what we decide to do with it is our free will. That I think is the most important part to appreciate in the whole process, rather than saying, well, it's going to rain tomorrow and you're more than likely going to fall into a ditch and be swallowed by a mud pit, just because, who are we to say that to somebody? Yeah. I prefer to just be like, here's, the terrain, here's the weather forecast. It's more than likely going to happen. And here's some looping patterns that might make it less than comfortable, but here's some incredible resources to tap into, so that, you can count upon the fact that you have the resources within you to succeed. And every single chart has that. Every single person is built with their avatar consciousness, but also their negative ego or their, and it's just a different recipe of energies that is, I feel, amazing to point out. So when I do readings, it's like, this is the present time. Here are the probabilities of energetic patterns, like the weather forecast that could change, but all I'm wanting to do is like help people be a little bit more prepared so it doesn't completely rock their world to the point of, harming them or blindsiding them. And I feel it's a huge responsibility. And we don't even have to talk about astrology. I just think any theme that's coming up for, like you guys just did your meditation based in drama and trauma, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Oh, we're sharing. This is it. All of us coming together and doing this. That is the work. Like we're creating greater relationships with life and each other, right? But our connection to life is what enables us to create greater connections with others.
So Laura, while we have you on here, just real quick, where are we going? Hell in a handbasket or darkest before the dawn? Or do we get to choose based on how we cultivate our vibration?
Good question. I mean, I feel we ultimately are creating our reality. And I was just in an interview earlier, and I probably have said this before to myself or in an interview, but the trajectory I feel for us is what we are in partnership with. We know that if we are holding on to something that, like say, is a partner or a relationship that we're invested in or feel dependent on or feel our self-worth is based in it, that's going to take us down the trajectory of whether it rewards us or insults us. And I feel like that's the system. It's a reward system. It's either, problem, reaction, solution. If you comply, you'll be like on a safer path, but that's all illusion, right? We have lost our sense of self-worth based in functioning on our own terms, determining what that means for us. And once we get that back and we refigure it, I feel our trajectory is completely different, because we respect our dreams and our visions, and we know that it's showing up for a reason and that we're capable of manifesting it. We understand, that the tactics being used to throw us off are looking to create a destiny or a existence that would only exist if we gave our power to it and allowed ourselves to help enable it. And so on an individual level, I feel, yeah, if we can cut those cords and know that we're made of much more and we're worth a lot more and all that, we're on a completely different trajectory. But how long in this time of bifurcation are we allowing that bridge to those that choose this other route to continue? Is it getting the best of us? Is it draining us? Is it stressing us out? How much do we need to kind of let go of it? And I think that's dependent on each person and what their agreements are. You find some are going to leave sooner than others in the physical realm. You'll find some that are going to just go off the grid and just say goodbye. You'll find some that are completely invested in doing all they can to be that cosmic EMT as one false flag and psyops, or just, event that is more organic, takes place in order to just, be an inspiration to say, in light of this happening, are we really in fear of death? Are we really in fear of the future? I mean, I feel like we all have our different positions. And so as far as the collective and the way it's going to play out on the world stage, what we witness as a whole, I think, will continue to try and pull everything out of its hat in its last ditch attempts to draw us in. Fake alien invasion, perhaps, next level of pandemic and this and that. Others have said they're not going to get away with it, right? I mean, how much is that determined on the individual and what they're reflecting in their reality? And how much is it determined by
The
the
nut. I'm about the nut.
Oh my God.
I'm about the nut. I'm about the nut.
Did you see that?
Oh, what was that? How did they do that, Greg? They just totally hack us.
Somebody just came on. I
Yeah,
just,
that's really sick. You know what I mean? It's like there's a difference between what we personally create, and is that going to be different than what we see in the collective? Are we like on a trajectory where it's inevitable there's going to be a solar flash? It's inevitable there's going to be a fake alien invasion. I feel like regardless, as long as we're focused on our own creative energies, because we grew up with people, right? We're going down different paths. Relationships, don't always tend to stick together. You're going to have a completely different reality from a person that you used to be close to, including your family. When you draw a boundary, that means that investment in co-creating with that person is no longer there. When are people going to be ready to divorce themselves from an inverted vampiric system that is leveraging the dependency bond based in fear tactics, which are the psyops, which leverage the initiatory planets into inversion? And I think when enough people break free of that, is going to change the landscape of what we experience as a collective. And as much as a lot of people are invested in it, we're going to experience it, but can you do it from a state of neutrality instead of getting into the divide and conquer of it all? And I think there's no way to predict. It is a shit show. It is, like hell in a handbasket, but hell is truly the mother womb and the creative cauldron of creation that is asking us to purify, move through the gatekeepers, and regenerate and overcome, and see that light and dark and integration is wholeness. All the psyops under the sun are already happening. So that already does exist. But how much are we invested in it? Like I said, some are going to walk away, maybe not even exist in this physical vessel anymore, and others are going to put themselves in the line of fire in order to, like, showing up at an accident scene and being that, person. And then some who are awake are just going to fall into the divide and conquer, or the psyops and the false flags of disclosure, and be like, yeah, these positive ETs, and what if they're imposters? I mean, I think we all are on a different trajectory in so many ways with the birds that we flock together with that might resonate. But if we can break the division between ourselves, we'll appreciate that the diversity is a blessing. And if we can let go of us being pit against each other, we can be a part of this larger conversation and maturely, like, talk it out. And, just like the Maui stuff, there's some that are going to, like, go for the climate change thing. There's others that know it's a directed energy weapon. Does that need to divide us, or can we put it all on the table and be a part of this larger conversation? And where that's not possible is where we either say goodbye or stick around long enough to see if people can see it another way. And it's got to go beyond right or wrong, though. I don't know. I'm just rambling. I'm sorry, you guys.
I saw myself applying that thinking to the Burning Man, because when I started seeing people like, oh, someone got on a plane and they had Ebola, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is the trigger event. And then it just, now everybody's on their way home and they got a little bit more cleaning up to do. And but it's just crazy how conditioned we've been to, like, go crazy tinfoil hat on every single event that's come. We're like guessing, swinging in the dark, trying to figure it out. And it's been one heck of a ride this past 3-4 years. It's unbelievable.
Yep, it's pushing it. Oh, Laura, you're on mute.
I think there's a huge trigger response and a lot of like almost like trauma of like, oh, they must be screwed, now it's them and now it's over here and now it's this, I mean, I don't know. It's such a mixed bag. And that's why I feel like if we work the energy, we can change our destiny. So yeah, maybe it would have turned into something worse. And maybe in light of that adversity, the energy was worked
We
enough
alchemize.
out in order to change the possibilities. Like we're never a victim. We either become the override frequency or we become something easy to plug into. So I feel like probably enough people at the gathering were like, okay, that's all possible. That could happen. Maybe there was that one person that did have coagulated blood that they choked up. But I mean, yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. The creative imagination, the ether energy, and moving out of 3D. If there is really an ascension window, what does that mean? It means that we're not in the personality matrix. We're not infected by propaganda, indoctrination, and false flags. We can see it though as a red flag and a warning to disembark, disconnect, and cut the cords, right? And that's why I compare it to relationships, because if you see your best friend in an abusive relationship and you see signs of it and they're not willing to see the red flags, there's only so much you can do. But when something scares the piss out of somebody enough to begin to say, all right, I'm gonna create from a chakra that actually is abundant versus something that can be preyed upon and fed on. I feel that is the growth period we're up against. Why would we experience so much adversity? Are we just a screwed over humanity? We've just done so wrong and we're just so cursed. I don't believe that. I feel like all these challenges are forcing us to uncover the greater gifts and abilities that have been robbed from us through amnesia and being taken advantage of. And every adversity is an opportunity to get closer to ourselves, whether it's our physical health, whether it's an event. Because I know, like, just like you guys, right? And Seth, when I was in the greatest adversity, like, oh my God, I have 2 kids. I'm living on the road. I'm screwed. Like, wow, that attitude's not going to get me anywhere. When I shifted my attitude, I was pulling money out of the ground. I was like running into really cool people that were, the synchronicities were there. I could perceive the things that my higher dimensional thinking could actually locate. But as long as I wasn't there, all I could see things to reinforce survival, fear, panic. And that's when I really, in all my wilderness courses, if it's a scorpion or a rattlesnake shows up, what do you do? Like, oh my gosh, are you going to be in fear? Are you just going to be like, what's the spirit medicine? Like, what can I gain from this? How can I commune with this energy right now? And I saw like a major difference, with the ones that were in fear of it versus the ones that felt a reason behind it. Like, this is showing up for a reason. And I'll just leave it at that. It's just our perception is everything. And I'm sure, some people had a hell time at Burning Man, and I'm sure some are just like, yeah, it was the best time ever. And I think we all have experienced like going to like any event or festival or just anything in our own life experience. What makes it hell versus tolerable and something that enriches us in the larger picture? So as everything comes at us, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I feel the greater prediction is, how are you going to respond? What are you going to do with it? And if it is a false reality, do you recognize it, or are you contributing to the artificial timeline because you're giving it the power that it wants to steal? And I feel that is the physics of our micro world connected to the macro. And the hope is that, we'll break through the illusions, just like we need to when we're in like false love or false reward systems, or like just being dropped into a vibration that benefits some but not others. And this is a sinking ship that we don't want to be on. All the aspects have shown that. and any kind of death cycle produces transformation and alchemy. But when we fear death, we're locked in the birth canal, and in that stagnation, it attracts everything that would make us sick. So the bioweapons are only there to convince the mind to stay stuck. Once you unstick yourself, I believe that the power of our consciousness is enough to neutralize and dismantle the weaponry. Because if it was just enough to blast us with weapons, they wouldn't bother with the social engineering, indoctrination, divide and conquer. Because unity is the greatest force, and self-love and love for others. And all the weapons are seeking to do is make that really difficult to achieve. And once we do, there's no 5G, we're 5D. We are towers, we are beacons of, alchemy is a part of nature. If you cut the cocoon open before the butterfly was ready to fly, the butterfly wouldn't be too happy. It'd be like, I am half caterpillar and half butterfly. And if you try to shove the butterfly back in or not even believe that it could emerge. I mean, we got to learn from nature. It's our greatest teacher.
Beautifully stated. My
I'm
God.
sorry, I'm talking too much. I should probably go, but
Well, we're going to hang up anyway, but next week, let's do this. Let's do exactly what we're doing right now. We'll just get into these spaces. We'll communicate. We'll be real. I'm looking forward to it.
oh, that's awesome. Well, however it flows with you guys. I don't want to disrupt what you already have going on. We can choose a different day. Thank you for letting me come on and just spew my
I'm
stuff.
glad you came on. That's awesome. It was a total surprise.
I just wanted to reframe, not to bring attention to it, which I have to, but to make this point across. That interruption that happened earlier, I mean, I guess that was a troll. That's evidence that we're doing something very powerful here, because why else would they want to disrupt it? I mean, I just felt it was, anyone who stands up to speak the truth, sometimes they get some tomatoes thrown at them, and so I love, of course we can edit it out, but that was trippy. I know you deal with that a lot, Laura, with the trolls and the people trying to take you down. So, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. But thank God for just soul family, and it's got to just reinforce everything, just like you just said. And yeah, it's pretty desperate and pretty laughable. So we keep moving forward.
Oh man.
So at the same time, I collected some notes and everything, and I've been monitoring the social channels with the chats going on over there. I collected a couple things there, and some great topics. I think that maybe we can start off fresh. Maybe we'll decide when we want to start this back up. Maybe we just substitute next week with Laura then.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? Get Laura. We'd love,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome. So let's discuss that. I got a couple notes here. We'll kind of talk offline and kind of go from there. Maybe we should not send an email out the day of or the day prior, so people can kind of forward it on to other people, right?
Yeah.
We'll strive for that.
Oh, that's awesome. I do have 4 p.m. my time, after 5 p.m. Or if you guys are open even to just, we'll all get on some kind of discussion. And I won't
we'll do that.
as I did. I just appreciate filling into what I didn't do earlier, but I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you.
We're glad you didn't make it over to Burning Man then. I mean, it's a blessing in disguise. It's awesome.
I've never even been.
Really?
I mean, I used to go to dead shows and a lot of festivals, and I was too busy raising my kids, and I always kind of felt like, as much as there's so much amazingness there, just never really felt drawn. But that's just me.
Cool. All right, guys. I think we're ready to wrap this up then, right?
Okay.
We'll wrap things up.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
See you all soon. Thank you. We love you guys forever.
Thank you, everyone. In case you haven't done so in the social land, please like, share, and subscribe this video. We'll see you next week, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We love you. Bye, guys.
Bye.